Hello and welcome from Budapest. This is Hungary Reports, kicking off Public Media M1's foreign language news hour. I'm Árpád Szőci, bringing you the latest from Hungary and the Carpathian Basin. Great that you can be with us. Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has begun an official tour of Indonesia, where he said that the main question in Europe is how it will be able to protect its national and Christian identity. He also attended a board meeting of the centrist Democrat International. He said that progressive liberal political powers and what he claimed were internationally run media were forcing people into an era where only one person really knows who's who. The PM also pointed out that Hungary will stick to its national and religious identity.
Prime Minister Viktor Orbán was also received by President Joko Widodo during his visit to Indonesia. The two politicians also held bilateral talks in the presidential palace in Jakarta. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade Péter Szijjártó and Hungary's Indonesian ambassador Judith Pach also took part. Prior to this, Viktor Orbán also spoke in Yogyakarta at a meeting of the ruling centrist Democrat International, formerly Christian Democratic International, that includes the center-right parties. The Prime Minister said that it was difficult to preserve identity in Europe today. The head of government added that the main question was how national and Christian identity could be preserved at a time when the so-called progressive liberal political forces in Europe were trying to put pressure on countries. In an interview on Public Media's M1 News TV channel, senior analyst Daniel Deák said that the meeting in Yogyakarta offered a good opportunity to discuss which direction Christian democracy should take, or even the negotiations surrounding Fidesz's membership in the European People's Party. He also said that it's currently questionable whether the ruling Fidesz party would remain in the European People's Party. He added, in addition to Viktor Orbán, a number of prominent Fidesz politicians and members of the European Parliament have been working to change the European People's Party over the past year. However, the political direction of the EPP seems to remain unchanged.
And Indonesia and Hungary are establishing a $500 million joint investment fund. Its purpose is to create institutional opportunities for Hungarian companies to constructively take part in the Asian country's transport and water management infrastructure. That's what Hungary's Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Péter Szijjártó, announced following talks in Jakarta on Thursday. He said that despite the great distance separating the two countries, the relationship between them has significantly increased. The minister added that the Hungarian companies which do well there are the ones which offer a high level of technology and other high added value features. Hungary is getting a €150 million loan from the European Investment Bank to help upgrade educational facilities. Schools will be renovated or totally built from scratch, as will pools, handball courts and gyms. The EIB and Hungary have been partners for years, and the country had already received favorable loans from the bank, whose vice president calls this deal an investment in the future.
In the snow.
An English class is going on in a new classroom at the elementary school in Biatorbágy. The educational institution has been significantly modernized recently. The old building was expanded and nearly a dozen new classrooms were constructed. The project had a budget of nearly €3 million. The European Investment Bank also contributed to the construction costs. The school is now thinking about new improvements. It was our old dream to create a digital classroom, the school principal said. But they also want to renovate and expand the gym, as the present one is small and is showing its age. It looks like the school will also have the opportunity to make further developments in the future. That's because the Hungarian government has signed a loan agreement of nearly €150 million with the European Investment Bank to renew the infrastructure in Hungary's education. The money will cover the construction of 8 new schools and the expansion of another 16, while 20 gyms, 26 swimming pools, and 17 handball locations will also be financed from this amount. Minister of Finance Mihály Varga also mentioned that this was not the first loan from the European Investment Bank, as a similar agreement of almost €45 million was signed in 2016. Dozens of schools, swimming pools, and kindergartens have been built or refurbished from that since then. The president of the bank said that granting such loans was in line with the goals of the financial institution. The current sum €150 million loan is provided by the European Investment Bank to Hungary for the long term and at low interest rates.
During Pentecost, it's become a tradition for specialty trains from Hungary to travel to the former Hungarian territory of Transylvania, now in Romania, where a large Hungarian minority lives. It's part of the annual pilgrimage to Csíksomlyó to honor the miraculous Virgin Mary statue. The train will also continue to hallowed towns in Poland and Bosnia-Herzegovina. The travelers say it's enlightening both religiously and patriotically. And this year, it will perhaps mean even more, as it's the 100th anniversary of the treaty that saw Hungary lose 2/3 of its territory and 1/3 of its people.
This is how the Csíksomlyó Express pilgrim train arrived in Nagyvárad last spring. As the train came closer and closer to the station, Hungarian flags could be seen in almost all the windows. There will be pilgrimage trains operating this year as well. In May, the train will head to Csíksomlyó in Romania, in June to the National Shrine of Our Lady Częstochowa in Poland, and to Medjugorje in Bosnia-Herzegovina. More and more youngsters take part in these events. The manager of the office organizing the pilgrimage said that besides being spiritually uplifting, the program also gives an experience that can last a lifetime for some people. A few years ago, someone living in foster care came with us to Poland, and by the time the youngster got home, his life had completely changed. The foster parents didn't understand what could have happened. The teenager said that this world was totally new and got love from strangers like never before, László Budai said. In the past 10 years, 4,000 youngsters got government grants for the entire cost of the trip, including high school students, those in child protective care, and Hungarian youngsters living in the diaspora. The state secretary for churches noted that the Csíksomlyó pilgrimage is especially important this year. The upcoming anniversary is very heavy, the 100th anniversary of the Treaty of Trianon, but on the other hand, we are celebrating national cohesion. Hence, those 100 years cannot repress the nation of Hungary. And if we can strengthen our faith, community, and nation by going on pilgrimage, it must hold enormous power, Miklós Soltész said. Almost 20,000 people have taken part in the pilgrimage the past 10 years.
World-renowned violin player Felix Lajkó from the Hungarian minority in Serbia has gotten back the violin that had been stolen from him 2 months ago. Police in Újvidék, Serbia, uncovered the instrument and also took suspects into custody. The violin, that was handmade by an expert violin maker in Venice, has an estimated value of 1 million euros. Lajkó said that even though the instrument was not irreplaceable, it has a unique soul and personal history.
It can be replaced. Moreover, it was replaced. I got another violin from the same Venetian musical instrument maker, which might sound even better. But this is such a special gear, if I can put it that way, that each has an individual life, as it seems, and this violin also started to live a separate life. The police dealt with it, as did people and journalists, musicians and musical instrument makers too. So these instruments start to live a separate life, and from that moment on, for some reasons, they are also really good to play on.
An exhibition featuring artwork of Zoltán Nagy, previously not yet shown, are on display in Híradó in eastern Hungary. They include watercolored paintings and pastel drawings, as well as pencil drawings. The works were done between 1920 and 1990. You can catch the show until February 20th at the gallery in the town's cultural center. The last Hungarian to be crowned was King Charles IV, who took to the throne on December 30th, 1916. Well, 10 years later, a Hungarian group then started building the Charles IV Calvary on Mount Attila in Tihany at Lake Balaton. However, in 1960, communist authorities destroyed it. It was then rebuilt between 1992 and 2000, featuring the necessary pillars and stones, and it's lovely to watch. And that's all for now. But you can see Hungary reports in repeats and on the internet. And we're back live after the next Hungarian news at 11 p.m. Central European Time. Please stay tuned now, if you can, for our new shows in German, Russian, and Chinese. Thanks very much for watching, and minden jót!